Hey everyone, it's Michael Tiny Soul with the stock market autopsy video for the week ending Friday, October 26, 2012. Let's take a look at some economic reports that are due this week. On Monday, you got personal spending, but it's an orange, can move us. And you got the German preliminary CPI month over month, that's all day. I don't know how it takes all day, but... All right, on Tuesday, Draghi speaking early, got the Italian 10-year bond auction, and then at 10 o'clock, the CB Consumer Confidence. On Halloween, which is Wednesday, you got Raskin speaking, you got Chicago PMI, crude oil inventories, and then Williams speaking. Thursday, you got ADP, non-farm employment change, unemployment claims, ISM manufacturing. What else? Lockhart speaks. And on Friday, you got the job numbers, and you got factory orders at 10 o'clock, and then Williams speaking, Tarullo is speaking. He's only a yellow, but he's an orange. I don't know. Something else to consider is that the East Coast is allegedly getting slammed with a big storm, the mixture of a hurricane and a storm. They're calling it Frankenstorm, whatever they're calling it. So don't think that can affect the market. First of all, if there's power outages, obviously. But second, if there's like a state of emergency claimed and the traders don't go to their desks or the floor, whatever it is, it could slow volume down. So just something to keep in mind. All right, there's no trend or anything about a storm, but just something to just keep in mind that volume could be muted early on if the storm is really bad. I'm changing the format of these autopsy videos, starting with this one. I'm going to be using the ETF for the indexes rather than the cash indexes. I've got a lot of requests to do this, so that's what I'm going to do. Some of them, like the banks, I just use BKX and brokers XBD. I guess I could use XLF and look at the financials, but we'll cross that bridge. We'll cross that ETF, I guess, when we come to it. So let's start out with the SPY. You see the SPY is still in its corrective mode, but the last 4 days of this week, notice how they stopped here and formed a nice little coil here. So the SPY is getting ready to move. Now, which way is it going to be? Does it want to test the 200-day here, or is it going to come up and test these short-term moving averages? I think we're oversold here. I think the way we're standing pat here, I'm looking to see if we can get a bounce from these levels. A lot of people trying to pick a bottom after Apple earnings on Thursday and the Qs, which we'll see in a second, testing and holding the 200-day. I mean, is it going to be this easy, or are they going to wait to bring the S&P down also? Overall, this is still an uptrend. This is just a pullback in an uptrend. And if it holds in here and pulls back, I still think we have a chance to try to go up to these highs. This in and of itself, I know a lot of people say, well, this is bullish, or if it falls, I'll go, well, of course this was bearish. And the truth is, it's just getting ready for a move. And sometimes you have to let the market tip its hand, okay, and tell you which way it's going. Here are the diamonds. Okay, they're closer to their 200-day moving average, but same kind of deal. They're churning here. Here's the Russell. The Russell, the IWM, came down the 200-day on Tuesday, then on Friday, a little double bottom here, a little W pattern could be forming here. So definitely something to keep your eye on. Let's see if we can trade higher out of this. Okay. So let's see. I mean, I love patterns like this, not because, they always lead to a move. There's no such thing as always. But you can lean against it. You're right at the 200-day. You're right at key support. You have a pattern to use. You know where you're wrong very quickly. So just something to keep in mind. And then here are the Qs. Okay, the Qs tested the 200-day, broke them a little bit, then broke them a little more a bit on Friday, but closed back above them. So could this have washed out the anxious shorts? Oh no, the Qs are below the 200. I don't know, maybe. A little pattern like this. This is not a bear flag. It's not a bull flag either. It's just a windup. It's just a coil here. So, again, wait and see mode here. Okay, here's the semiconductors, the SMH. And they've been acting weak, but they got a pretty decent bounce on Tuesday, and then gave it back Wednesday, Thursday paused, and then Friday you have this pattern here. So they may be trying to put in a higher low. Clad tanker whiffed at earnings, but you could see it popped up and then came back down like this. All right, so this really isn't bullish here. This looks more of a bear flag. And even though, I mean, this is the impulse, and it flagged, and this may not be a strong-looking impulse, but it's sitting right at the low. So I do consider that a bear flag. Here's Broadcom. Just below all the moving averages, not good. Here's Intel. Here's Intel, right on cue. Here's Intel, okay. Starting to get a bounce here. I talked about Intel being oversold and unloved. So they came down, tested the lows. Now they're back at the 20. I think you got to clear 2250, and then you still got to get above the 50-day. So Intel's got a lot of work to be done here, and it may want to form a base before it decides to move, probably to put in its next move. NVIDIA still doesn't look so hot. Here's the banks. Okay, the banks trying to hold the 50-day. Yeah, they closed below them, but they haven't moved away from them yet. So they were acting okay, but now the financials are starting to give it up a little bit here. Banks. Bank of America. Okay, yeah, lower high here. Watch the 50-day to hold. JP Morgan. JP Morgan, yeah, 50-day also possible support. Citigroup, we talked about last week. Okay, really strong move here. It looks to me like it's bull flagging, Citigroup. So I wouldn't throw this one out just yet. All right. Yeah, overall, we have the double top here, but that was a pretty nice impulse. So Citigroup definitely one to watch here. Broker-dealer. Of course, if the market bounces. Broker-dealer still choppy as heck. Here's Goldman. Watch the 50-day if it pulls in. Here's Morgan. Watch the 50 and the 200-day, which are right here. Okay, here's the XLF. 50-day moving average held for now. See if we can get a rotation off of it. Here's the home builders. Okay, still acting pretty strong, but snug up against this 26. Okay, so it's got a base here and make the next move. Otherwise, you got the 50-day as possible support, and then down here you got the 89 EMA at 2372. Look at a couple of these stocks. Toll Brothers. Okay, not a great bullish pattern here, but not acting all out terrible just yet. Here's Beezer. Watch the 200-day if it continues down. This looks all overlapping and corrective there. Here's Ryland Homes. Looks like the strongest one out of those three. But again, could be a little extended here. Cyclicals. They don't look bad here. They're hanging above most of their moving averages, just not the real short-term ones. And looks like they're coiling here. We don't sit there and get excited about trading the cyclicals, but the funds like to line their, line their portfolios with them. So XLB looking not as nice, but trying to hold the 200-day here. Healthcare, HMO, $ HMO, just kind of grinding here. Not really doing much. Drugs. Okay, watch the 50-day as potential support. Biotechs, 200-day close below it. Yeah, that's not good. That's a pretty sharp move down here. Again, it hasn't moved away from it yet, but if it sets up here in like a coil or a small consolidation and then loses it, that's going to be bearish. Okay, is Amgen. I mean, this stock looks bullish. Little dynamite triangle. That's called, right at the highs too. All right. Gold. Yeah, below the 50-day now. Got to go neutral on this. Can't stay bullish when it's, I mean, it's above the 200, but it's below the 50. So that's not looking so sharp. Silver looks similar. Watch the 200-day. Here's oil. Yeah, oil is just, I mean, we talked about how it was bearish last week. Now it's basically sitting at support. If it loses this, all right, let's grab a fib grid. Okay. 30.77. If it loses that, it's going to these lows down here at 29. Exxon. Okay, sitting at its 50. Halliburton. Yeah, below its moving averages. Hasn't moved away yet. The moving averages are more flat, but it's certainly not bullish. Certainly not bullish there. Apple. Okay. Earnings fun. After hours on Thursday, it went down to the just below the 200, where the 200-day was on the daily, and got a bounce. On Friday in the cash session, it attempted to revisit it, but the bulls wouldn't let it. So it closed down $6 or whatever, but which is no big deal considering what it was down, right? I think it was down like 13.30 or something, right? Amazon, well, let's see if it gets a bounce here off that 200-day area. Amazon just destroyed in after hours down to 205. Right around these lows here, got picked up, and look at this, a gap up and even a small fade, and then it rallied most of the day, obviously closing at its high. So now Google, okay, if the market continues down, I'm looking for Google to lead the way, because this thing, this is an impulse down, and this is a bearish pennant. Now, it's a little tough for me to call this a pure pennant because we're above the 200-day, and pennant is one of the only pennant or flag continuation pattern, the only pattern I get biased on, which means I only look one way. So to be biased to the downside above the 200-day is a conflict in my trading rules, but I mean, that's what this looks like here. This is sharp and ugly. And if the market decides that it took these last 4 days of last week to grind up before it stabs lower, I would be watching this one here, okay? Because this is, in my opinion, a bearish pattern. All right. Of course, I get off that if it breaks up to the upside there, but this isn't a bullish continuation pattern by any means. It comes after a sharp move down. Okay, Baidu. Just consolidating here underneath the 89 EMA and the 50-day. Here's RIM. Not really doing much. How about Caterpillar? Just kind of chilling here, not doing much. Johnny Deere. Yeah, bullish. Right above its moving averages. Look like it's in a little flag here. See if it can get up to 89.70. Don't know if they reported or they still have earnings coming up, but do the work. Go to Yahoo Finance. It's easy to look up. Okay. Let's see what else. Potash. Okay, so Potash still looking bearish. We talked about this, how it came up to the channel, then came down, then formed this little consolidation and broke. Okay, it doesn't look like it's tested its target yet, which is 40.03. Yeah, it did. Okay, got there Friday. So it got the support. If it loses this 40 number, look for a push down into the 36s on Potash. Win. Okay, just sloppy. Las Vegas Sands. Got to get above that 200-day. Otherwise, it's going to be a long fight. Okay, for the Bulls. Got to get above that 200-day. All right, so to recap, the SPY hanging out here. This little consolidation here suggests it wants to move. All right, the NASDAQ looks similar at the 200-day. IWM, which is a Russell W pattern at the 200-day. Question is, do the bulls come in for it or do they push it down? Election now is whatever it is, a little over a week away. Do they really tank the market into the election? It can happen, I love when people say, well, they can't do that. Well, what do you mean they can't? Of course they can. Right? If sellers overwhelm the buyers, that's what's going to happen. Anyway, it's wait and see mode here, but good week in the live trading room. So if you are not a member, it's free. It's going to be free for another week at least. So register and check it out. We also have our nightly newsletter with market timing and index and sector analysis. That'll also be coming out shortly, and you'll be able to get a free sneak peek at that as well. So have a wonderful trading week. I will speak to everybody during the morning email, and if you're in the Northeast and you get smacked by that storm, stay safe. Make sure you have a lot of water and hopefully some backup generation so you can power your abode. All right, talk to everybody soon. Have a great trading week.